Today or this morning session is the standard auto lock arm. And remembering what we said last week, the auto lock arm gained its name essentially from the fact that the arm locks automatically the moment the arm is released. It is still a manually operated awning. Now, as the System 2000 auto lock arm, this standard lock arm is really only suitable for ground floor applications and install situations no higher than, say, half a floor above the ground. It's not suitable for first floor and above. Really easy awning to measure. If you're fitting on face, like we're going to fit behind me here shortly, we have some brickwork here or some mock-up brickwork. We have an opening. So we would take this opening and we would add a minimum of 300 millimeters to take us past the edge of the glass to give us a really good fabric coverage and give us good protection. We'd also then recommend you measure 150 millimeters above so we can mount the head box above, giving you nice clear view through from inside looking out. If I was measuring to fit this to architrave, I would measure edge of architrave to edge of architrave and also top to bottom. That would be the size and that would be the fixing location for my awning. If you want to put the awning in reveal, as in between here, you can certainly do that. When you give us that measurement, you need to take off a 10 millimeter deduction to allow for the angles that we need to put in there to hold on all those bracketry. Now the arms come in 3 standard sizes. Now the arm is a little different to the System 2000 arm. The guide rod's the same, but the arm's a little different. Now, this arm here is the 150 millimeter arm. Now, the 150 millimeter denotes the length of the steel through the arm. So the overall projection, by the time you get the step out from the guide rod, the overall length of the completed arm probably is closer to 200 or 220 millimeters, but we refer to that as a 150 millimeter arm. It comes in a 300, comes in a 450. And obviously that slides over the guide rod with a saddle around the back there, locks off when the spring pulls up. So when you release the spring tension, the arm will drop. Now these awnings come with a pull down stick if the height, as I said, up to that half floor above ground level. They come with a 1500 millimeter long pull stick as standard, 1 per order. If you wanted more of those, you'd need to specify. Awnings also come with a valance, and you have options there with either a scalloped valance, which is quite popular still with a striped fabric, or a straight valance for your plain coloured fabrics. Now the headbox colours, the same headbox colours that were available in your System 2000 are available in the standard auto. So you've got your white, your Federation green, your mist green, primrose, stony beige, brown, black, galaxy, anvil and red oxide. So again, nice colour matching in with obviously the fittings on the home and also the fabrics. Now we're going to start to fit this awning here, and I'm firstly going to talk about what you would do to the headbox if you were fitting it to an architrave. Now, I want to point out the differences in this headbox to the System 2000 headbox that you saw last week. Firstly, you can see this headbox is open at the back. Okay, this is a pressed metal Zincalume headbox that we fabricate here at Rydalmere. The ends are also Zincalume steel. They're not fiberglass reinforced plastic end caps. It's all Zincalume steel. So this is all about giving you a slightly lower cost option in an automatic awning. You'll see the headbox here has got lugs. Now you can use that lug to fit directly to your architrave or to your wall, but ideally on an architrave, if you're fitting directly to the architrave, that lug can be bent down 90 degrees and it can actually sit on top of the architrave. It'll then mean that you may need to drill extra mounting holes through the flange, but you can obviously have a nice, neat finish. Now, when you're fitting this head box to the architrave, we recommend you use a 50mm by 10 gauge screw. 50mm because you want to go through the architrave and tap into the stub that's behind that to give you a nice secure fixing. As always, drill the architrave before you screw through. But what we've done here, we're going to mount this awning up here on our mock-up brick wall, and we are actually going to use those top locating lugs there to fit our head box. So this is sort of replicating what we would be doing if we were fitting it to brickwork or render. So we've measured the opening and added 300, so we're about 150mm past the opening of the window. If this head box was being, I guess, mounted up in an eave situation, again, you could bend that lug down, or you could just tuck that up behind the bit of quad that might be holding the eave up, or you could just tuck it into the eave. You can do either. If it's a full brick house with bricks above the window, our recommendation would be that the head box would be installed level with the top of the second brick. Again, when you're fitting head boxes into brick, avoid the mortar joints. You really want to get fixing into a solid brick. It gives you that nice secure fixing. When you're into brickwork or masonry, you want to use 40mm by 6mm roll plugs, and then you want to use 40mm by 10 gauge self-tapping screws. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this head box up here now. Okay, so as I've said to you previously, we've got our installation or product installation house here set up to take various fixings. So we're choosing to use that lug. I will just quickly nip that up. Then we'll talk about how we work out the placement for our guide rods. Okay, so I've only got basically the top two screws into that head box here. I do need to put another fixing screw into the head box here. But then we have to work out, once we've got the head box in position, where do we position our guide rods so that when the awning is retracted and goes up, it sits nice and neatly under the head box. Depending on the arm size that you've chosen, you'll need to measure down from the top of the head box to give us this point here. So in the case of the 150mm arm, which is very common, you'd actually measure down 260mm from the top of the head box with a tape measure. I'll just put that guide rod down, getting a bit clumsy there. So we're measuring 260mm down. That will give us the position for our bottom fixing in the top part of the guide rod. So 260, we've already got a fitting there because we've pre-fitted this already. So what you will find is that with the 150mm arm, that 260mm for the bottom hole in the top part of the guide rod will mean that the top fixing hole is going to line up almost spot on with the bottom fixing point in the head rail, in the head box. So if you're using 150mm arms, you probably don't need to measure. You can just work off your fixing point there and know that my guide rod's going to go there like that. So give me a couple of seconds and I'm just going to get all that fitted. Oh yeah, of course I need to put the L brackets on the bottom first. Trev, I'll get you to slide that on. Put the arm. We'll just quickly get one of these on and then point out to you what I've done. So that angle bracket goes on first. I might need you to pan down a bit there, Trev. Sorry, we can't see that on camera. So we've attached the bottom L bracket. Remembering, guys, it does go that way. It is always mounted with the L facing down. So then we slide Obviously we slide our arm over the guide rod into there, and then we would secure our guide rod into those fixing points that we measured for earlier. As I said, with the 150mm arm, we know we're pretty well in the right spot. Quickly going to come over here and mount the second one. We've already got the bottom L bracket on. Just put that in there. Okay, so what we've got now, head box up, fitted securely now with that bottom fixing screw there, which is also holding the top of the guide rod. Guide rod's in place, arms in place, ready to come along with the, obviously, roller tube and pop that into place. Now, just keeping in mind, in the SkillTech book, it will give you a couple of measurements which you need to be aware of. The guide rod on a standard auto awning sits right at the edge of the awning. It sits to the side of the front rail. You need that to line up, and in the SkillTech book it'll tell you you need to come in about 27mm from the outside line of the head box. Now, this isn't exactly 27mm if I line up with that bottom hole of the head box, but it is close enough to what we need to be. As I said, 150mm arm means I don't really need to measure because I can use that bottom fixing point where the head box is. If I had a 300mm arm, I'd need to measure down from the top of the head box. I'd need to measure down 410mm. And if I had a 450 arm, I'd need to measure down 560mm. So those measurements are there for you to use. What we do now is we have obviously the roll of fabric here on the roller tube. Now this is exactly like a System 2000 auto lock arm. It has the fabric over-rolled off the front, which is what we do for our automatic awnings. We have the spring on the right-hand side of the motor, and we have a pawl here. Now the pawl is the little silver little lug which locks in and actually holds the spring in place. So that's what enables me to be holding this like this without the spring losing its tension. Now when we fit that into the head box, it's very important that that lug is fitted to the bottom. If I fitted it with the lug at the top and I popped it into the head box, it would not be able to maintain and utilise the spring tension for the operation of the awning. So I'm going to pop that in. Black head boxes mean there's no light up in there and it's almost impossible to see, but that's okay. So I've popped that awning in the head box, pawls at the bottom. I could get that awning now, and you can see that the spring is always going to be wanting to pull up. Now, because I put that in there, I've released the pawl, and that spring is going to pull all the way right up to the very, very top. We're happy with the tension on the spring. Certainly for an awning of that size, I wouldn't want to put any more tension or take any tension off that. But if I wanted to increase the tension, I would pull the awning down about 600mm. I would get my hand in here and I would lock off that pawl. And then I would lift the awning out, because by locking off the pawl, I'm just locking the spring tension. I'd lift the awning out and I'd roll it up one full turn. Then I would put it back in again, making sure the pawl is at the bottom, and check the tension. Now, one full turn actually adds quite a bit of tension. If you need to release some tension, you'd do the opposite of that. You'd take it out at this point, you'd unroll by one roll, and then you'd pop it back into position. But I'm more than happy with the tension that's on that, so I'm going to leave it at that point there. Now we need to get, obviously, the arms fitted to the bottom rail. There are two specific screws that you need to use when you attach the arm to the end of the bottom rail. And they are 12 gauge screws. So they're heavier, thicker screws than other screws used here in the awning. They're 32mm long. And these screws actually hold the arm onto the end of that end cap, which is sitting in the side of the front rail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull the awning down, and I'm actually going to lock it off with the pawl so that I'm not working against the spring while I'm trying to attach my arms. So I'll pull that down, lock that pawl off, stays in that position, and now what I'm going to do is come along and attach my arms. We've put this awning up and down a couple of times to make sure we don't lose those specific screws. We've just popped them back in. But I'll just get my little helper here to help me hold that. That goes in there. Come along with my drill. All good. So, got that one there, and I'll just come along to the other one. Take that screw out. So there I've attached my arms to the front rail of the awning. Now I haven't got any tension on there yet, it's not going anywhere because I've got the pawl locked off. So I'm just going to actually pull that awning down, and that awning will now work under its own spring tension. So if I want to put it up, obviously, I just let the spring do the work and take the awning up. So what I've done is I've attached arm to the front rail, released the pawl, and now that awning, whenever I bring it down and I let go, you can see these arms here locking off automatically onto that guide rod. Release the awning, push it down and in, and then it will roll up into the head box. Here you can see we've done a scalloped valance in a plain fabric, just to give people obviously the idea as to what a scalloped valance does look like. Got little rubber end caps that will go on the bottom of the guide rods, just to dress that off and cover any sharp angles. There's a couple of bracket options that you can have when you're selling or when you're installing a standard automatic lock arm. We sell most auto lock arms with head boxes, but you can have it without the head box. You can use the universal mounting bracket. If there's no need for the head box, it's not visible or there's no space for it, no room for it, you can call up and just use the universal head box bracket. We then have a variety of adjustable standout brackets. If your fixing point is uneven and you need to build out one side of your awning for installation, you can use an adjustable standout bracket, which might be used in this scenario to sit behind the head box to bring the head box out to the point of fixing. You then have...
There's also a smaller version of that.
Correct.
Which is used for installing the top and the bottom rails. See, the next one that Barry's going to talk about, which is for the corner situations, there's one for the head box and there's one for guide rails.
Yep. Yep. So if you're mounting on corners, and again you need that further projection to actually fit the actual awning, you can get them to stand out. Now when you do that and you're using the standout bracket, obviously it's quite important that when you find your position that you do actually put a screw through that to actually hold that in the position that you need it to be. So there's corner brackets, and there's also standout 135-degree bay bracket as well. So you can see that one there. So it has the different angle on it. That's corner, and that one there is for your bay window. There's also other things you can call up if you need that extra mounting point to fix the awning too. You can call up a 38 by 38 millimeter post. Now that is just a post which will come with a top fitting. You can top fit that, slide the post on. You can also customize and make your own bottom fitting if need be. You could actually, Trevor, yep.
What I've done here is I've cut down on the four corners of the post a distance, cut off with my snips the two sides there, bent the other two. What I haven't done yet, but what I would do would be drill a hole through there, and of course I bend that to the angle of a sill, so if the brick sill sloping away, whereas that mightn't sit too well on an angled sill, certainly couldn't get it on very easily. That enables me to fix onto a brick sill.
Cool. So all those extra fittings and extra fixtures can be called up on your ticker box order form when you're ordering your standard automatic lock arm awning. Now I mentioned earlier that you can fit this awning in a reveal or in a side fit scenario, and sometimes you're actually fitting an awning on a home and you're actually fitting a face fit for one side of the awning, but the other side is in reveal because it's butting up to another part of the house which is jutting out. So we supply 50 by 50 by 3mm thick aluminium angle, and you can call that up in various lengths to suit whatever it is that you're trying to fit to. So in the case of the head box, if we were fitting this in a reveal scenario, I'd need a piece of angle in here, about 200mm long, that would enable me to face fit that bracket from that head box in that scenario. So as I said, 50 by 50 by 3mm angle, 200mm for the head box, 120mm long for the top of the guide bar, and then about 100mm long for the bottom L bracket of the guide bar as well. Guys, that's it. It is a simple product, nice and easy to sell. This is the cost-effective version. This is the standard automatic lock arm. We've got the System 2000, which is a nice upsell and quite a prestigious product. This is what most of our competitors sell in the market. So obviously if you're out there and you're quoting someone else or quoting against someone else, this is, I guess, your price fighter option for your automatic lock-up awning. Locking arm awning. We'd always suggest that you start with the System 2000, but standard auto obviously is still a very stylish and a very effective and a very robust awning as well. And you can see the quality of the componentry is the same as what we would use on System 2000. We've just got a different style of arms and a different style of head box. That's the end of the session, guys. Nice, quick and easy.